Well, everyone, thank you. If you're not here live, you're joining, you're going to check this out later because I think it's going to be a fun night. So I'm Brian Schwartz. This is Tech Brew for June of 2022. I want to make sure I give a shout out to our sponsors, Santa Maria Valley Chamber, City of San Luis Obispo, Santa Maria Airport, Story Labs, where we're hosting this tonight. Very grateful for them. Caliber Accounting, iFixit, Astound Business Solutions, Torchlight Marketing, Josh is here, selfpublish.org, that's the company I work for, Ceslock Credit Union, and you can see more on our website, softech.org, that's softec.org. And why don't we just do a quick round of introductions. I'm the brewmaster of Tech Brew. I've been doing it since 2018. We're trying to get it going again after COVID, but it is what it is. So we're just trying some different things. Tonight's no exception. So we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. Brian?
I'm Brian Hildebrand. Missed a couple of months of this, but happy to be back.
Welcome. Somebody new?
Yeah, my name's Lindsay Erickson. It's my first time. Yeah.
Lindsay, welcome.
Mike Thomas from Astound.
Formerly Digital West.
So we include that in our name. It says Astound powered by Digital West. So it's incorporated in the name.
Longtime caloric contributor, so thank you.
Rodney Babcock from Next Intent. Our motto is we do really cool stuff.
Welcome back, Rodney.
I'm Mary Verdin and president of Verdin Marketing.
I'll read her
I
bio.
market really cool stuff.
I'll read Mary's bio here when we get started. Josh?
Josh Erdman, CEO of Torchlight Marketing.
Oh, I guess you have to wait for the camera to find you.
John Noel, unaffiliated.
John is retired.
Nice. I'm Steve Burgess. I'm a VP of SoftTech, and I have a Burgess Forensics, do digital forensics down the street and around the world.
Digital forensics, cool job.
Mike Jones. I own the As High As I Am brand out of Morro Bay.
Welcome, Mike, and Mike's first time too.
Yeah.
So,
That are people online.
yes, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm Jeff Buckingham with Astound Business Solutions, powered by Digital West, and a SoftTech board member.
Welcome, Jeff.
And I'm Bob Dumichel. I'm president of SoftTech, and I'm not powered by Digital West.
Welcome
But
back,
would you
Bob.
like to be? But would you like to be powered by Digital West?
I would, but you don't run fiber to my house.
But we will. We will soon.
Well, when you do, I'll talk to me, Jeff.
All right.
Well, welcome back. Bob is normally at our meetings. He is our president of SoftTech, so he's worked really hard, but he's been recovering from COVID, so he's not quite been himself. We usually get lots of emails from Bob, and we haven't been getting many at all. Oh, and there's Joe. Joe, you want to introduce yourself?
Why, sure.
And just tell people about the Story Labs. This is the owner of Story Labs.
Hello, friends. How you doing? How are y'all?
Very good.
Joe Piola.
Thank you for letting me try.
Be back. We're just getting
Yeah, my
started.
name's Joe. I'm
Surfer.
surfer, father, husband. From SLO, went to Cal Poly, business school dropout. With a history degree, was thinking law, went into ministry full time after that. But I got a buddy next door named Greg, who I was a mentor for as a college kid, who's now CEO of 2 companies. And this space has been something that's been on my heart and mind for a while, just thinking about how do we serve the city and meet growing demand needs in our community that are affordable? How do we build creative spaces or spaces for belonging and connection? My heart is to equip people and to help people thrive. It's kind of my background. But
And this area is thriving. You wouldn't believe how many people have signed on in the last 30 days, really.
yeah.
It's been a kind of explosion.
Gosh, there's so much to share about how we got to this idea and stuff, but I know this isn't planned.
Right, just an impromptu.
Yeah, I just want to create places of connection, meaningful connection and belonging for people. Get people out of their closets and garages and learning how to be in community. And then ultimately, we use this as a nonprofit to fund creative or redemptive entrepreneurship in our community that seek the good of our city. So we just got done sponsoring a huge playhouse theater group with a lot of teenagers. A lot of them struggle with mental health. And they just put on 3 performances last weekend with the funds we gave them through this space.
It's a full nonprofit. That's what's unique about Story Labs.
And they took that
Cool.
show up to King City and worked with migrant families and did shows there for them and their families. and just helping our community think holistically. What it means to thrive holistically, economically and socially, relationally. So yeah, that's why we're here. Why we created the spaces. It took some time to build it, assembled every desk and chair in this doggone space in the evenings after my day job, but it's a labor of love. So glad you guys can all be here and use the space, and love having Brian in here as well, using our place and making it
Community.
for others who want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. If you wouldn't mind just making sure the door down there is not locked. I don't know if we're gonna get anybody
Yeah, I'll
else
check it on the
coming.
way out.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good to see you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys take care.
And thanks again
Have a
for the
wonderful evening.
space. Appreciate it. Yeah, so he's been great and very supportive of Soft Tech. So anyway, the plan tonight is, and I kind of put Mary and Josh on the spot. I acknowledge that. It's in a real world scenario. They probably have a little more time to prepare a presentation. Mary's like, well, this is kind of off the cuff, and this is their company. But I told them that this is an opportunity for them to get their face in front of some new people potentially and just get to know them personally. And the rest of us are going to help contribute and learn more about Mike's story and maybe give him some ideas on where he might want to put some things into marketing for the year to come, in the near term, because this is something that is of interest to him. And it was just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. So I'm very grateful that he stepped up at the last minute to join us. So the format is, Mike, you'll have like 5-10 minutes to give us a little backstory on As High As I Am for the folks who don't know, because I think it's a really cool story. And that I was really excited about capturing. So this is being recorded.
All right.
And you'll have access to this to kind of let other people know about As High As I Am. So take it away.
All right, yeah, I guess I'll start. I grew up in Los Osos, just kind of regular surfer kid there. Kind of grew up just getting waves in Los Osos, Morro Bay, kind of around the Central Coast. And out of high school, went into the Navy for 4 years, did like firefighting and stuff in the military. Got out, wanted to get a degree really bad, so I went and got a psych degree from Cal Poly. Just basically was a goal, kind of get that going and stuff. And while I was at Cal Poly, back to surfing. My main thing in surfing was kind of going fast and catching air off waves. So a couple of my buddies had the same kind of, we like to go fast, catch air off the waves. And back then it wasn't really, it was kind of frowned upon. It wasn't looked as something that most contests would like give you points for. So
Reckless, is that why?
it was just, they're like, stay on the face. What are you doing? You're ruining the waves or something, The older guys would all yell at us. And for us, I was like, I don't know, that's the coolest thing. And so it basically came around to where I started doing little stickers for me and a couple buddies that I called it As High As I Am, spelled like AZHIAZIAM.
And how did you really come up with that?
I had written it in a doodle book. I had
So are you the artist?
no, a friend of mine did this art for us.
All right.
My wife does a lot of the other art. She helps out with a lot of stuff. But yeah, I had a book that I do drawings in. I was in a band, Bootsy Marengo, for like 20 years on the Central Coast. And so I had a lot of lyrics in there and different things. And the As High As I Am thing was like, people would come to the house and always go through my doodle book thing and always stop on the word and be like, what does that say? What is that? And I'd say, oh, that's As High As I Am. This is before I did stickers or anything. This is kind of what got my mind going, like, because people would always say, oh, that's cool. I like that, So after that happened a few times, kind of stuck in my head that I was like, oh, that's, people seem to like that word out of all the other stuff I got that nobody cares about. So I was telling you, was that yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon, yeah. I had an email blast from stickerguy.com, just like one of the first emails. This is probably 25 years ago or something, but it was $20 for 250 postage paid stickers. And I was like, oh, what could I do? $20, I could do some stickers or something. And so I was like, oh, I'll do that As High As I Am word. And basically sent the $20, got a pretty big box of stickers. They had actually messed up my order and did a few wrong sizes. And so I ended up with like 2,000 stickers or something. And I was like, oh, well, what am I going to do with all these things? So I started just handing out stacks of stickers to everybody that I came into contact with, like, just get rid of these things. I don't know what to do with them.
The original social media is stickers, by the way. This was the first form of social media.
Yeah, so for me, when I got rid of the first batch, I remember just thinking like, oh, what a relief, I got rid of them all, and that was cool, like people, whatever. And then people started coming back like, oh, do you got more of those? Like, so-and-so wants some, or this guy, and I was like, man, more of those? And so I made more, just kind of kept going with it, made stickers for 2 years while I was going to finishing up Cal Poly.
And selling them.
No, I didn't sell them.
Just
I didn't plan on, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I was just like, people want these, I'll just buy them. And I ended up buying like 10,000 at a time after a little while because it was a lot cheaper. Just it's $400 or back then it was like $300 for 10,000. So I just get boxes of 10,000 and just stickers for everybody. And during that time, people started asking like, just telling me that, but I want a hat, I want a shirt that says that, I want, I want something else. And I was getting my degree, thought I was going to be working in psychology. I actually wanted to thought I was going to get my doctorate. I was like, I want to do this coming out of the military, but at the same time, I kind of missed the whole surfing thing. And it was like, 4 years of military and 5 years of school. By the time I graduated, I was willing to I was like, oh, people are asking for this. I should maybe try this before I go work for somebody else my whole life. And so I started, basically after 2 years of doing stickers and giving them out, I just started like spray painting. I got a stencil, just thing you buy at the store and piece the letters together and start spray painting everything, hats and shirts. And there was like, surprisingly, people were like right there, just like, I'll buy that, because they've been waiting for a couple of years. So as soon as I started making the stuff, I was like, just started selling it. And so what happened after that? It was basically about a year of doing that stuff at my house, selling stuff out of my van, and just people would come over and I had a little rack in my room and sell stuff. And then most of the time my friends would come over and just take it for free. So I kind of realized that I needed to have a place where I could actually charge, because it feels really weird when you're hanging out with somebody and they're like, no, I want the sweatshirt, and I don't have any money, and kind of have to give it, you're like, oh, okay. And then you realize like, this is expensive.
This is my business.
Yeah. So I got a little 400 square foot shop in Los Osos in 2003.
Where was it at?
It was where the gun store is, or there was a gun store there for a while.
On the main drag?
On the main drag.
Okay.
Yeah, really small. It's $400 a month. I was wondering how I was going to afford that rent. I was just like, oh, $400 a month. Like,
And this was your full-time gig at that point?
Yes, I quit. I was working for Transitions Mental Health for a little bit, and I basically decided I'm pulling the plug, quit that, and started just basically was like, I'm going to try this and see if it works. And I just as soon as I pulled my van up to the shop, people that I grew up there, people are pulling in like, what are you doing? And opening a shop as high as I am, and people just started buying stuff, and it's been almost 20 years. And
when did you move to Morro Bay?
Well, we went from that shop in Los Osos. We were there for 3 years, and I moved to San Luis. I was on Foothill by where Kona Sandwiches is, and I was there for 3 years. And out of necessity, like chasing cheap rent, because everybody kept upping my rent, I was like, well, I'm going over here, and kept moving, not really realizing that I was losing all the customers that I had kind of built up at each spot, because they didn't know, nobody knew where I moved to. And so I moved
Before the internet, really.
Yeah, before the internet, really. And so I moved from there. I was on Foothill for 3 years, and then I moved to a warehouse in Morro Bay. And at that time, I was selling to a couple stores, and one store, Slow Surf, was right on Higuera. It was a really big store, a lot of money. Some of my friends opened it up, and they had another little store in Morro Bay Surf Company. So at that point, I was kind of just trying to do some wholesale, just selling it to them, and thought it was awesome because I could walk in there, kind of do an inventory, and walk out with like $5,000 or something, And I was like, this is awesome. I'm not paying rent, not paying the employees, and I was like, this is how I should do it, And after
Lifestyle business.
Yeah, it was a little, for me, I was like, oh, this is awesome. They're paying $12,000 a month rent, and
Yeah,
just
no headaches.
just all this stuff. And so anyway, it was good for me. They ended up going out of business, like both shops. Eventually, it was like during the recession, and so I basically had to kind of buck up. I was having a daughter, and we moved our shop down to the Embarcadero. It was like a sink or swim type of thing. Like, we're gonna pay this more rent. We're gonna just see if we can pull this off. And I just basically moved down there, and that's where I've been for about 11 years.
And it's all the surfers go right by there on the way to the rock. So
Yeah,
the location
Yeah,
is
real close to the rock. Yeah.
And at least when I was in there, a lot of their customers seemed to be coming from the valley.
It was the weekend, this weekend was really, everybody's kind of escaping the heat, so we had a lot of, even people from like Templeton and Pasto seemed like they were all coming out to get away from the heat.
And that's a lot of your fan base, or people from the valley who like to have that badge of courage. That, you know, it represents the central 805 and Central Coast, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, we get kind of, like I said, orders from all over the place. We do get a lot of people, kind of all over Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara, anybody that comes to the coast or comes to Morro Bay kind of has to go through the gauntlet there, and they might wander into the shop, but
So your product is stuff with your brand on it.
it is, yeah.
Logo
Your
wear.
original product was the brand. Your
Yeah.
brand was the brand.
Yeah.
That's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, I didn't know, like I said, doing the stickers for 2 years, like, as soon, I was like, whoa, it's kind of weird. I was like marketing for 2 years, and I had all these people that already knew about it that were
And
ready.
every shirt is advertising for you that someone wears. That's what's crazy, right?
Yeah,
The marketing is
and it's like kind of, yeah, and people like the stickers, like everybody,
They're
that
beautiful.
was what kept me going. So everybody's just like, I want that on my car. I want that here. And I'm like, I want that on my car.
more free advertising.
Yeah, so it ended up just being this, I was like, I gotta just keep doing this, and had no business sense. I still don't think I do. And, for marketing, it's been really hard for us because me and my wife struggle with how do you market a word that almost nobody can read and convey like the attraction that other people have to As High As I Am.
So share that story, like what it really means as high as I am.
Yeah, As High As I Am, we market as anything to do with flying or catching air. That's how, for me, it was catching air off waves, but once I started doing the stickers and stuff, people are like, I pole vault, is that as high as I am? Or I ride bulls and jump, we jump, is that as high as I am? So everybody had their idea of what it was, and I didn't want to say like, oh, it's not that, or it's not that. I'm like, kind of whatever you want it to be is what I boiled it down. Some people,
Is that Ericksonian?
is that what?
Isn't it one of those psychologists? It's, well, what time do you want it to be, right? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, for me, it was, I kind of had like, people come in and tell me what they do, and they think that's as high as I am, and I wasn't going to be like, no, that's not that, don't buy a shirt,
Right.
So it was basically just hearing all these stories, and like some people are like, oh, as high as I am on God, they're really into it. They say the I am and things with the Mormon. I learned all this stuff that I don't know about.
Secret meaning.
Yeah, and so for me, I was just like, wow, like that's really cool to have something that has different meanings to other people, and makes people feel good. Being the psychology part for me, I feel like it's a positive affirmation, something where you say as high as I am, you might get a little endorphin rusher. As high as I am, it's just a little empowering thing, and maybe that's why people like it. So
Seal, the singer,
yeah,
he was asked why didn't he put his lyrics on his jackets of the music, because it means what you want it to mean.
yeah, and maybe that's why we have a hard time kind of figuring out how we want to market it.
All right, well, that's good. Anything else you want to share before I turn it over to Mary and Josh? So
Not
20
really.
years in business,
Yeah, about 20 years in business. It's been, it just kind of grows every year.
organic, all organic. We've never done
I
any
don't pay
marketing.
for advertising. It's, around Christmas time, I have done little, like, throw a little, $50 at Facebook ad or something to see if that works, but I never know if it.
But when people buy stuff, and especially if they spend a couple $100s, you always throw more stickers in their bag.
Everybody gets more free stickers. Like, I got the stack.
That's your
I
advertising.
still get the 10,000 stickers. And so I still, like, if somebody buys a $1 sticker, you still get 2 As High As I Am little stickers. Like, and even if you don't want it, you just kind of going with you. You can throw it away.
It shows up. It's beautiful, and it's probably on lots of people's laptops.
Yeah, people, growing up, I always liked stickers. It was like Town and Country, Thriller Gorilla, all these cool stickers. And it makes, I was like, if I'm gonna have a shop, I want to be that shop for those kids that are coming in, seeing all the skateboards, or have some cool stickers, that kind of thing, I guess.
All right, so already one of the things is the power of stickers. I think I've totally neglected, and it was a big deal in Colorado, but it was a lot of money. I never wanted to spend the money on the stickers.
Yeah,
So, but if you look at it as marketing and advertising, it's not a bad investment.
right. Yeah.
How many units a year do you sell stickers and product?
We sell like units.
Yeah.
And only share what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Hundreds of thousands.
yeah, I mean, we probably sold 600,000 last year, 700,000 or something. Yeah.
He's busy 7 days a week.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, the weekends mostly, but
yeah. And I'm actually pretty much the only employee right now. So kind of doing a lot. I just had a couple employees leave and it's summer and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what I've been doing for 20 years and hunker down and work again.
you're natural at it.
Yeah.
But you do work, you keep regular hours, so kudos to you.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much 9 to 5.
All right, cool. All right, so let me read the bios really quick. So I'll start with Mary. Mary leads the team, the Verdin team, Verdin, with a vision for growth and dedication to giving back. She's an innate problem solver who always goes the extra mile to make sure their clients shine. As the owner of Verdin and supporting her husband's multi-generational family restaurant, Old Juan Cantina in Oceano, California, she has a deep understanding of the challenges,
My favorite place.
challenges businesses face and how to successfully market them. She leads by example, encouraging her employees to find ways to grow professionally and personally in Verdin's environment of innovation and support. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you very much.
Josh, I'll just stick with the bios. Josh never leaves an opportunity to learn something new. He is a true jack of all trades. He is always on the lookout for new ways to merge technology with customer experience. As CEO of a national digital marketing agency, he gets to combine his passion for learning with his talents for technology into design sales experiences worth talking about. Josh is also a local facilitator of the Central Coast CEO Roundtables, a confidential peer group where CEOs discuss business issues and share ideas. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you.
So why don't we start with Mary and the format Bob came up with. Brilliant format, Bob. We just need more planning time. Is the 7-minute kind of to pitch your ideas to Mike, but maybe just share what you think based on what you heard. And again, off the cuff, she didn't have any time to prepare. This isn't the way she would normally do a client presentation. So
Sorry,
do
you
not.
don't have to disclaimer me.
Okay.
So we are really strategically focused. So we always say we don't just produce marketing that is pretty. It always has to have a strategic driver to it, which is why I was like, well, how do you come in and just start throwing out ideas when I haven't had the benefit of really diving deep into to what you do. But one question, I do have some ideas, but one question I had was, it sounds like most of your customer base, you sell online too, right?
We do a little bit, but we don't really, they're all kind of just organic. We don't really advertise.
Yeah, so it's probably people who were here, had an experience at the brick and mortar, and then
Yeah,
went back.
or a friend or somebody
Yeah.
brought something back, or I think, or they saw it on a car maybe and they Googled it or something like that.
Yeah, so this is gonna be awesome for Josh. He's gonna have so many ideas for how you can expand all of that outside of that brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But I did take a look at your social media last night, and you do a good job. And for a pretty small team, it sounds like you had
Just me.
you're on there consistently.
Yeah, I
I think there are some really great opportunities. Well, I was telling Brian, it's like I never knew how to say. I've seen the stickers for years
Yeah.
on the back of cars,
Right.
trucks,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's what I have.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like driving behind him. I'm, how do you say that?
That's part of the fun.
And there could probably be something really fun you could do with that.
Right.
And
Of people mispronouncing it and
yeah,
catching that on video.
Yeah.
go on the
Like
street
that.
from Morro Bay and say, how do you pronounce
That'd make a
this?
funny
And, you
video.
know,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, and maybe some of them will get it right because they know you. But I think that could be kind of a fun thing. And video is always huge. So anything online, social
Yeah.
media, anytime you use video, you're going to get way higher engagement, and it could be funny and
Right.
fun. There's also such an interesting target audience for you because it's the idea of catching air. My husband's a pilot, so I'm like,
Okay.
well,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
flying an airplane, you
Yeah,
know. So it seems like there could be some really interesting stories from those people that you could generate some user-generated content
Oh, yeah.
where they're producing the content for you, but you're sharing it on your pages and giving
Like a contest.
a place. Yeah, you could do it as a contest. You could have something, and maybe one of the stickers you throw in their bag, or one of the things you throw in their bag is something, you know, tell our story. How do you get high? You might want to phrase it differently.
Yeah.
But and then say, you know, share your story here, and we're going to pick a winner, and you're going to win a sweatshirt, or whatever
Oh,
it is.
cool. Yeah, I like that.
And just, you know, really capture their stories, because I'm sure you have surfers, you have.
Yeah, and we kind of sponsor people, so that's kind of, we do have that kind of, you know, some snowboarders or wake surfers or whatever, you know, we have,
Yeah.
but they're not really doing, you know, they might tag us and stuff and I'll reshare it, but it's not like where they're kind of like, this is what Azhiaziam is to me, kind of a thing, you know, and I could see that
You can
being,
call a favor and
yeah.
Yeah, and then once they do that, if they start sharing it, you post it, they share it on their social channels. And all
Right.
of their friends are gonna see it, like we have same interests. as
Yeah.
they do. So that could be a way, you know, be some work up front to get it all started and get it going, but then hopefully it kind of start generating a life of its own.
Right,
You
yeah,
know, and really get some stuff out there.
yeah,
I think the other idea I have, the video thing, I think is a really big thing. It would be interesting to really identify the personality of the brand.
uh-huh,
Because obviously the way you promote that or the messaging that you use around that, you want it to be in alignment, because you could have fun with the, like you were saying, is he a cannabis guy? As high as I am, do people think he's cannabis?
yeah.
Because of where we are. I
Right,
mean, I'm
and
sure
that
10
was-
years ago they did.
Yeah, and that was something right off the bat. I was, you know, I think 420 was popular when I was starting it, and I was like, I don't want it. People were saying, is it this? And I was like, I don't want it to be like.
oh,
a
so
420.
from the beginning, people were mistaking it.
Yeah, like it's, I mean,
A
every
reference.
day people come in, they're like, you guys sell bottles here? I'm like, "No."
You can put
know,
my sticker on your bong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, they will, yeah. So for me, we sponsor kids. I want to, I also say like, you know, try to get your highs doing this kind of stuff. And
Right, yeah.
not like I have anything against like weed or anything, but it's, you know, I'm like, I don't want to be promoting this,
Exploiting it.
yeah, and exploiting it. And it's like if I'm not gonna make a brand and be selling cigarettes to anybody or alcohol or something, you know, so.
Yeah, and there could be something that you can do with that that's the natural high, you know, kind of going with,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know,
There's
it's
another,
like,
yeah.
how do you get a natural high?
Yeah.
And that could tie back into it and
Yeah.
help people understand. how
And I
to
think
do it.
people, you know, they always tell me, you gotta do that, you gotta sell it to the head shops and do this. And I'm like, you know what, I don't really care. They probably buy it and I could make more money, but I think what I have is something different and could be better, that something bigger than if I just sold all the head shops.
Yeah, well, I think you need to go through
California.
to what the brand is. that
Your
you
value.
want.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't be behind it, I guess, if I was
Yeah.
doing that, so.
Yeah,
And you could tie it to crossover sports, I mean, surfing and skiing
oh,
are
Yeah,
intertwined. A lot of people do that.
yeah,
right.
Climb up, ski down.
Yeah.
Ice ski.
yeah, it's a really weird word. I mean, somebody was telling me, like a professor at Cal Poly was like talking about it, like some English, you know, major or something teacher was saying how it's such a weird word because it means so many things, or it's not, you know, this or that. And so for me, I'm always like, yeah, it is weird. And I don't know, like the marketing thing, I guess it comes down to the target market. Like, how do you target, you know, kind of when you're going for everybody or something like
You're
that?
never going for everybody.
Okay.
That's the first rule of
That's
marketing.
the first rule.
Yeah.
But you could be going for different audiences, and I think it is really important to, that really is the step back, the strategic side of it is like, who are we, you know, what's your mission statement, what are we trying to accomplish here, who are we talking to,
Yeah.
what's the action you want them to take, and really start laying out who those audiences are, and then look at, okay, so how do we reach these people, what do we say to them?
Right.
Marketing, it's funny because a lot of times when I speak to groups, people say, you know, how has marketing changed in the last 10, 20 years with technology? Things have just gone nuts. It's like, well, the principles of marketing are the same. You gotta have the right message to the right person at the right time, right? It's just now the way we get the message to that person has changed, and we have to understand that technology so that we're getting it to them effectively.
Right.
The cool thing is that technology has made it a lot less expensive. I mean, you're saying that for $50 at a Facebook ad, you could reach way more people that are very targeted because you can identify exactly the type of people you want to reach and the geography and their interests and all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas running an ad in the daily newspaper is going to cost you an arm and a leg, and maybe people see it they want. So there's really a lot of benefit to where we are in the world today.
Yeah,
with that.
I agree.
But I could, if you're interested, I could send you something that just kind of says, you know, these 5 steps to just start setting up a marketing plan, because I think it's something that, well, when I started my own business, I know I was working for somebody else and it's like, I need to write a business plan. I was on maternity leave. I'm going to write a business plan while I'm on maternity leave. And part of that, of course, was the marketing plan. And it just gave me a sense of, okay, now I know what I'm supposed to do next week with this,
Right.
instead of just going, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, oh, shoot, it's working, but
Yeah,
I need to do some stuff to really consciously push this forward.
totally. Okay.
But I know Josh has all kinds of ideas on the digital front.
I'm gonna start with some questions.
Okay.
So you said you're working in the store by yourself.
Right
If we
now.
could flip the switch and double your business, it doesn't sound like you're ready for that. You know, what do you?
Well,
want
I
things to
wasn't
look like?
working, it just, I had employees in there 7 days a week, so I just kind of go in and check in on stuff.
Mhm.
One kid, he's an Army reservist and he just got called to Albania, so he had to leave. And then right before summer was kicking in, the other kid told me he's got a cooking job down the street and they're gonna pay him like $4 an hour more. So I was like, all right, so kind of left me hanging at this point. And you know, and just going into summer, I'm like, I can't just train somebody else right now. It takes about a month to probably train somebody up to do all the stuff in there. And, you know, and then putting them in there to see if they can sell or do whatever, it's not a good time to do that. So for me, I'm kind of going to be in there just probably plugging away just to make sure I make the sales. It's kind of a 3-month window where we can make really good money. And so that's just kind of where I'm at with it, you know.
So before the two staff members left, you had a lot of margin for growth. You could have gotten a lot more demand, you know, ideally if they didn't leave.
Yeah, I mean, my time wasn't being necessarily well spent when they were in there, you know. I felt like I was kind of almost trying to help my wife out more, like doing more stuff at home, trying to take some pressure off her. We got 2 kids and she's always just doing all the laundry, all the food, all the shopping. And so I felt like I was doing more, you know, trying to just do more help for her.
Be a good husband.
Yeah, trying to like
Yeah.
take a little bit of stress off her.
Okay.
So
How big is your newsletter list?
my what?
Newsletter list. You have a newsletter sign up on your website.
I don't even think we really deal with that. Yeah, I
What
don't.
is that?
He's not using it.
Yeah, not
Okay.
using it.
Instagram is your list.
Yeah, Instagram. I think I pretty much use that. I think we get a lot of sales off the posts or whatever people.
Yeah, you have several thousand on Instagram and on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably how we get the people from different countries or states and countries like purchasing too, I guess.
Okay, all right. So our expertise is marketing technologies,
Yeah.
but I wanted to add on the Mary's messaging and creative thing, and that is you have this huge gift. People love the power of story, and everyone lives their own first-person narrative. And by no effort of your own, people are already trying to connect their story and asking you for permission to connect their story to your brand. It doesn't
Yeah.
get any better than that.
Yeah.
So I think the whole video thing of people telling their story and what the brand means to them,
Right.
you get a guy who's a good editor and he can take 20-second stories here and there and just grab and snip these things. You would have a gold mine of telling people's stories.
Yeah.
And it'd probably do any more than anything else that we could possibly imagine because it's a free story. You don't have to write it either. It's unquestionably believable because it's from first person. The first
Okay.
person.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd start with that first.
Okay.
And that'll take a lot of work. And that's not our skill. On the tech side, your website speed is directly related to how much interaction you get. The more your website's slower, you can actually measure a drop in people's engagement.
Totally.
So you definitely want to work to make it faster. I was running some speed tests on it, but it looks like it's run on Shopify.
Shopify. Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And built in your Shopify, you have a lot of tracking tags. Google Ads, Google Analytics, and then whatever one Shopify has built in. And you can consolidate a lot of these and do something a little smarter. It's really geeky, but it starts with something called Google Tag Manager. So it's like a parent tag.
Okay.
And then what it will do is it'll tell the browser what tags to load and when. So the whole goal is that if you're not advertising through Facebook, we don't need to load that tag, or we can load that tag last.
Okay.
And that way the web browser still runs fast, the pictures load fast.
Yeah.
And so it's a play for the user experience, but it's also a play for Google because if Google thinks your site's running faster, Google is going to recommend you more for searches that you may or may not show up for.
Okay.
Now, looking at your website though, your website's really focused on one brand, and that's your magic word, as high as that.
Yeah.
And That's it.
Yeah.
But your appeal is to people catching air at the same time. So I propose that there could be a phrase or two that would be secondary for people that don't know your brand exists, but they're all about catching air.
Yeah.
People on motocross, and they're doing all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
Motorcycles, stuff like that. So I think it would be worth it to have some type of page about catching air and the word air, share your pictures of the most air. This guy got the most air on a motorcycle.
Right, yeah, I feel like I'm lacking. I feel like my website or even on Instagram, I'm like, I should just not just use my stuff that I kept do every day or whatever, just what I'm seeing or whatever, but showing like the biggest airs on the internet and all different sports or something, and
Yeah.
that's something I'm like, but I don't want to use somebody else's, but at the same time, I think,
But a lot of people are already giving you their stories.
Yeah.
So you can get stories that you've already connected with,
right,
and they're the ones that are the gateway into those other communities.
yeah,
You could also, kind of tagging on to that, you could also curate content from other, if there's a page, so not a private friend page, but a business page or an organization page, that is a motocross club or, something like that, where they're posting stuff, you can just share their content on your social channels. They're still getting all the credit for it. You're not doing the copyright
yeah,
issue thing.
yeah, that's what I was wondering about.
And that's also now they're aware of you,
Yeah.
So that's maybe opening up another door.
How many thousands of kids hanging a little camera down while they're skateboarding? What
Everybody,
everybody's doing, right?
yeah. Yeah, and we're
There's a
lucky,
million
we get a
stories
lot of
right
people
there.
tagging our stuff, but I don't think it, I try to share stuff only if I can see as high as I am in their posts or something, or otherwise it's just like people will be like, what is that, and a lot of the times you can't see as high as I am, it's on their hat and they're riding a bike, jumping or something, and so it's kind of a,
But even the most basic social media tools allow you to overlay something on video now.
right,
So if they knew that, and they could get shared by your company,
yeah,
well, they'd, just slap that right on top of their video.
yeah,
Well, and I found that when I get to the website, if you knew what the word was, you knew exactly what the website was. But if you didn't know what that word was and somebody pointed to it, you'd be confused.
right,
So I like the idea of focusing around catching big air. And then once they're like understanding the concept, now you introduce the word. Like now it makes total sense. But that was me. And I honestly, I kept spelling it wrong, even after.
it's hard to write, I couldn't write it for about
So
10 years.
do you
on the
have the
checks and
different
stuff.
variations of the various ways that people spell it wrong?
Well, a lot of people use S's instead of Z's, or, that's the main
Do you
one.
think Google's correcting it if they're?
Possibly not, I'm not sure.
I
That would be
always
worth
thought it
looking
was wink, wink, nudge, nudge about weed.
Yeah.
Except I thought it was like a Middle Eastern word.
Yeah, people think it's Persian or
Yeah, that's
something.
what
Yeah.
I thought.
I get a lot of that, like,
Yeah.
up here, we don't see a lot of the Persian names, I guess,
But that's the appeal. If you know what it means, it's kind of like a secret society.
It creates
That's
intrigue
right.
if you don't.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's a
So
win either way.
Joshua kind of mentioned it, like, he said magic word at one point, and it is like, sometimes I confuse it for like abracadabra or something like, or alakazam. It's
Yeah,
like
this
this.
Alka-Seltzer, Alzheimer's.
But I mean, like, one of the reasons I liked it, from way back in the day is I didn't know how to say it. And like, someone told me how to say it, and then I was like, in the club.
You're in the
right?
club. Yeah, I think that is
Yeah.
part of it, because a lot of people, they like to share that they know
Yeah,
what it says.
because then I could share that with other
Yeah,
people, and I was
yeah,
like,
that's why they want extra stickers to give their friends.
Yeah,
"What this is,
yeah.
this is,
Right.
this is."
The one thing you don't want, because I was doing some inspections on SEO, is there's a lot of brand confusion. There is, if you actually do a search for as high as I am spelled with an S for the second Z, there are websites that have business profiles about your business. They're trying to be a listing service, and even they spelled it wrong about your business.
Oh, wow.
So you should, domain costs are $16 a year. You should buy the alternatives, and when you go to them incorrectly, it'll just forward to the correct website.
Right.
Not only for,
There's so many variations though. For a
Find the
while, I
biggest
was
ones.
buying them all.
No, and it was costing.
And it's just like, oh, I got 30 different ways to spell.
if you have the top 3 to 5,
Okay,
those should point to your current website.
okay.
But what I did is I checked the most common one, and it does not.
Hmm.
So that's something that I would do, is to make those mistakes work for you. If I
Yeah.
still don't know I'm typing it in
Right, it's a hard one, yeah.
I should still go. So so a lot of the tips I have are, not recurring, but just one-time tweaks that would improve your rankings with Google, that would get people to stick longer, that would help people that had a misunderstanding still find you at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
And what would you do that once a year maybe, or,
Well, once when you buy the domain, you can own it forever.
I mean, but you're saying
Checking.
one of the words isn't as high up as you think, or it's.
Well, I was talking about some of the misspellings, so we're not gonna try to market and rank high on the misspellings, because I don't, but.
No, I'm talking about capturing, you want to capture the top 5
So
misspellings.
like to audit, how
How
often should you
often would
audit
you go
that?
back and check how many other misspellings? Is that an annual?
Probably not just the top 5, and leave it at that.
Well, and
Human nature, I don't think is gonna evolve so much if the misspellings of the same word are going to change it.
Josh, can you just pay for cheap ads to those specific misspellings on Google? Because not too many people are gonna be typing those in, so he's not gonna get a ton of clicks.
I'd pay for no ads, I'd buy the domain and be done with it.
And that's gonna get you at the top, even when people misspell it on Google. Because I
You
still,
have to look at those first,
Okay.
but when I looked at some of the misspellings, yeah, those could just be a separate website spelled wrong or just redirected. We'll have to look at those specific situations, because there could be people that are trying to market off of that, you know, affiliate link, or maybe sending them over to selling the fake Rolex version.
right.
So
So is there bootleg, have you ever found any bootlegs out there?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's a real thing.
yeah, some guy was at Slow.
Have you looked
Swap
on
meet.
Amazon? Because Amazon is notorious for bootlegs.
Well, we tried Amazon, we sent them like a dozen hats or something, and it was, I just didn't like the whole deal, because
They take
you
so
just start
much.
getting ads for Amazon, and we have so much other offering stuff in our shop that it just like, if you typed in Azhiaziam, you just get these ads for just like 5 hats
Other, yeah.
or something, and it was bombarding me on my own, so I was like, oh my God, all I'm getting is these Amazon ads, and then I think we sold 1 hat. We have to pay to have them have it, and we sold 1 hat, and we're like, oh, cool, we sold the hat, and then like, oh, we got a guy wants to return it. Oh, we're gonna. So it was just like this. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with it. I just don't like the way it feels. I didn't like the way selling on Amazon didn't feel like my deal. Like I was like, I'll just sell it on my shop. I don't even
And they
care.
take a 30% cut too, so.
You know, all that, you know, whatever they.
Well, and that maybe opens you up to more bootlegging, because if people see, Amazon sellers see that you're selling a lot of product.
Yeah.
they're gonna start finding it.
Yeah. There's people in China that are, I had to tell Google to stop. One company was making as high as I am sweatshirts and t-shirts, and you type it in and it comes up on Google. And so I had to just go in and be like, hey, these guys are ripping off my product. Can you take them off the,
And they're
Dang it.
selling them online.
yeah. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like fly over there and find them?
Right?
So another thing is some people might like the idea, but they might not want the brand to be the big thing. And I looked at your website and you had this brilliant phrase, and it was "to err is human."
Human, yeah.
Mhm.
How come you don't have a t-shirt with that? And then your logo smaller
We
somewhere?
did that forever when we started. That was like my main catchphrase when I
So
started.
that's hilarious. I love
And I did that probably for about maybe 10 years. And people started biting that. It's like, that is like all over the internet now. Like I see it. Some guy was using like a snowboarding, like almost exact same sticker that we had with "to err is human." And he like somehow took a picture of it and sells it on Amazon or something. Like I saw him all Etsy sold like 40,000 shirts with that. And I'm like,
You have to
that's like
trademark
my
it.
deal. Like it's
Yeah.
just,
It's an old expression.
what's that?
But not.
Now it's the word AIR though.
Yeah, it was to ERR.
Oh,
not
nice.
error.
And
Oh, I
I
didn't
used,
get that.
I used to air.
I take back what I said.
Yeah. And I mean, we still do some hats with it on it sometimes, but I just feel like I'm all, it's like they're
A battle you don't want to start.
using my stuff, and now I'm promoting them. That guy's gonna sell more shirts if I'm doing. So it's kind of like, it's just a weird, for me, I'm like, it's not really mine. I should have trademarked it, or I didn't trademark because I didn't think I could because of "to err is human," you know, it was kind of like a
That's
thing where,
common phrase.
yeah, so I just
But
was,
as high as I am trademark.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because remember the Sriracha story where a lot of he intentionally didn't trade, at least he says this now, he intentionally did not trademark it. And everyone was using it to his benefit. Sriracha, you know, the Sriracha hot sauce?
Sriracha.
Yeah, Sriracha. And so anyone can use the word Sriracha, and he feels like that was one of the keys of success, because everyone was using it, but they were always coming back to the original sriracha.
Okay, how much of your success do you chalk up to serendipity and how important is that to you?
Serendipity is
Happy luck.
Good luck.
Well, I mean, some of it is, I attribute a lot of it to me just listening to what people are saying. When people wanted more stickers, I made more stickers. When they wanted a hat, I didn't do it at first, but I ended up, I'm like, everybody's asking me for this, or everybody liked it in my doodle book. I feel like if people don't like a logo, or, I just feel like I'm just like, oh, just let me know what you like. And so I feel like I'm just kind of following what, almost like that feedback I'm getting. I'm sure there's a ton of luck into it too, but
I was just wondering how it was to you.
I'm not sure. I mean,
Do you think it's partly too because you were a pro surfer? Like that was a part of your catalyst, is people knew who you were.
no, I wasn't like, I wasn't like famous for it or anything. I got out of the Navy and started surfing some pro contests, all like up and down the coast, and it wasn't like
videos or something or photography. Your name pops up a lot as being someone who's like, you're doing a lot.
I do photography. I just kind of like, I got into like big wave stuff. I surf some big waves, and we have some good waves we tow at Cayucas, and there's I've been kind of doing that for like the same time I've been doing As High As I Am. I kind of travel the world and shoot the biggest waves I can find. It's kind of one of my hobbies, and it's not something I make money at. And people are like, I don't really submit to magazines. I don't really do anything with it. It's just like something that I get to go and hang out with all these people that like big wave stuff too. And As High As I Am, for me, with the big wave stuff, goes with the adrenaline rush of the big wave surfing. Not necessarily catching air, but just
well, that might be an untapped aspect of your marketing you're not even considering. That you are, when I Googled your name, that's most of what pops up.
Yeah.
So that's, if people look you up, they're seeing all these things that you've gone and been featured as a photographer and shared these pictures, big ways, because they're just dramatic to look at.
Yeah.
But you're not using that at all with your business.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
Do you share those on your social media?
Not a lot. I mean, it's when I go to a swell, I usually will post something about it, and then
it goes online, so people are posting.
Yeah.
Are you sending those pictures to magazines? Or?
Nope, I don't really do that. Yeah, I never have.
Google's finding it.
Yeah, I think some of the, when you get to a big swell, like I was just in Portugal for what might be the 100-foot wave, the first, and so that one's getting a lot of play, like that kind of stuff. But
that's huge to me. I think that's you're not using that at all to your.
Yeah, and I literally get back from these trips where I'm like, like the Portugal trip, I was just gone a week, but I got back just burnt and tired, and I didn't even want to look at any more pictures. I've just been taking pictures the whole time, and it's like I don't do it for what I do after. I kind of do it because I want to be there and document it and have the stuff and be able to use it in the future. Like I hate seeing a swell happen and I can't like go through all the clips or footage and see everything. So it's kind of like a little selfish thing for me. Like I want to be there and it's like a football game. I don't really watch football or anything, but it's like being in an arena with gladiators doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I agree with the photography thing, and it could even be something that ties into that idea of, what is getting your mean to you, and you're sharing personally.
Yeah.
This is how high I am. Look at this 100-foot wave.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be restricted to some kind of sporting activity.
No.
Actually physical air.
Right.
It could be an accomplishment on a stage presentation or a debate from somebody.
That's
Or
true.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? There's always that self-actualization.
Right.
People are
Or a
always aspiring.
7'2" guy.
Yeah, we get tall guys and this says As High As I Am, and they're like, that's me, like, and even some short people, like they're just like, I'm 3'2", and
It's all
I'm As High As I Am. So that's As High As I Am, 4'2".
All right. Any final parting advice? And you can certainly follow up with Mike after, and you've both been generous.
With your social media following, I think that if you wanted to grow and you're looking for ways to do it after you fix some of the technology issues, advertising is something you could consider because you have a shopping cart. So any advertiser, they would try to sell you clicks and, oh, we got this many eyes. You actually have a direct correlation between see, click, buy. So you would have if they should be able to give you an exact measurement of return on investment.
Yeah.
And you set a number, if it doesn't work, you turn it off. So you should, having e-commerce is one of the best ways to, successful e-commerce, the best way to test valid market.
Okay.
Just make sure you have a marketing company that measures for you on a return on investment measurement, not clicks.
Right, okay.
And maybe a great place to start would be get yourself a Cal Poly intern.
Yeah.
And start setting some baselines.
I told them some kids that are fans of As High as I Am would probably be thrilled to work with
That would be
him.
like the
And-
best internship.
And
ever.
somebody, they also love video and they understand how to use the video tool. So they're talking a lot about video.
Yeah.
And if you have some kids that are just thrilled to be involved with the
GRC.
brand.
Right.
Let
Yeah,
them
yeah.
sort through all the photos.
Yeah, and I know do you guys know Chris Burkhardt? Have you guys heard of that name?
Yeah.
So Chris is like a friend of mine, and we used to like hang out and shoot, just and then I kind of started doing his High as I Am thing, and he just kept going in his direction, and like seeing his stuff is just he always had interns. He was an intern, and then he knew how to use that, and he still probably has like 20 interns just doing all this stuff for him. And I've always looked at that, like, because I knew what he was kind of doing, and I almost don't feel comfortable asking for help or feeling like I'm using somebody or something. So
You
it's
gotta
been,
pay 'em
Mutually
anyway,
beneficial.
so,
yeah, you got to pay him.
yeah, you gotta pay them.
Yeah,
And they're
Or
smart
it's
kids.
gotta,
out
it's
of
gotta
Cal Poly.
cost you one way or the other. If
Yeah.
you're getting school credit, maybe you don't have.
right. Yeah, I understand exactly how it works, but yeah.
And we do have a couple of great people online, Bob and Jeff. You guys have been witnessing this. Do you have any 2 cents for Mike and As High as I Am?
Remember to turn your mic on, Mike.
Yeah, I just figured that out.
And Bob bleeds marketing, by the way, so he bleeds
Well,
green and he bleeds marketing.
I think it's a really interesting story because, if you're doing a little bit of business with that imprint and you've got at least 10 or 12 different stories that you've told here, each one of which is a specialty group of interest, whether it's, pilots or, there are some of those that Mike obviously is not interested in the 420 stuff or that type of thing, but I've heard at least 10 different ideas that are imprintable products that could very easily be monetized in that process without going completely out of your way.
Different verticals.
And I think, yeah, because you've got the pilot and you've got the off-roaders that are catching air and you've got the surfers catching air and you've got snowboarders catching air. The catching air thing is pretty big deal in the sports world. Look at the camera, the GoPros in the camera area. I mean, every place those are used, there's a lot of catching air in that process. Each one of which is a merchandising opportunity for your brand. So, I would say, take a really hard look at, why not monetize that? There's no downside to it that I've heard so far.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Why is it, Mike, that you're not going after that? Is there a
Well,
reason?
it's quality of life. He's been trying to be a good husband. And he doesn't have any interns, and he lives in Morro
Yeah.
Bay, and
Yeah,
he probably still likes to surf.
Well, and he can do all of those things, but that's where that intern strategy comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason I'm not doing it. I mean, we do have like the team of people that I kind of share their deal. But I think this has kind of made me think of going a step further with it and, having them share their stories and what As High as I Am means to them type of a thing. So.
Yeah, because I would think that you could take each one of those separately and, post it out there as part of your Shopify structure, and you'll pick up organic traffic to those pages simply because they're not a lot of competition for it.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
Jeff? Oh, sorry, Bob, anything else?
Oh, no, I just think his idea is brilliant. And, I think you really have to sit down and say, why not?
Thank you. Jeff?
Well, my marketing gurus are Bob and Mary and Josh, so I'm not sure I have anything else I could add.
How about you, Tom?
Yeah, I'd actually say that as I sit there and watch this whole conversation, I'm wondering from the owner's perspective, does he want to grow? If he wants to grow, he's got a perfect opportunity with this name and all the things that Bob just mentioned, where you could target Instagram, get other people talking about you and just blow up your business. I mean, I could see that easily happening. But it's, do you want to do that for lifestyle reasons or whatever? I think that's the big question internally is or are you afraid to grow? I mean, because you can get very busy very quick.
Yeah, and I mean, we've tried to do little big jumps with things and it hasn't necessarily worked out where like we got a warehouse, I had employees, I was doing all this stuff and just things weren't working the way, the plan wasn't being executed right. So had to kind of contract back and we've had a lot of things where it's like scary, you can lose the whole deal or, so yeah, I am a little timid about, we're comfortable, we make enough money to do our thing, but I'm like, okay, how do I get to where we're doing wholesale, selling more online, stuff like that.
Yeah, I see you doing a lot more online and selling like, printing up a lot of shirts and hats and, just shipping those out online constantly.
Yeah.
In all those different areas. Just an FYI, I was in the windsurfing industry with Windsurfing Hawaii, if you remember that company back in the late 80s and 90s. Yeah. And when you talk about as high as I am, first thing I thought about was getting air on a windsurfer, jumping Palama or, Arroyo Lagoon.
Yeah, can I use this for my Instagram? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And then the kiteboarding, that's kiteboarding today. They're getting higher than you know what. I mean, it's so I mean, all those target markets within, that whole branding that you got. I think you could smash it if you really wanted to. It's just up to you. And then obviously you need people to help you get through and figuring out how to use the Instagram, the Facebook, and doing all that advertising. But I think it's a personal question. If you want to really try that and really want to grow, are you happy where you're at? Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think we want to grow. It kind of grows every year organically, but it's not enough. We're like, okay, what could we do? Turning on the advertising or, doing some marketing or, because we basically haven't had barcodes. One thing I didn't mention is we didn't have barcodes on our stuff. So our inventory was always, we're guessing and we couldn't really do advertising because we didn't know what we had. And we have, I don't know, you've been in the shop, it's packed. Like there's so many things in
Yeah,
there.
Mike, look in the camera here.
Okay, where's that? There. All right, I feel like I'm looking at it.
He's looking at the back.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
I
And
can see it now.
all right, yeah, so we feel when COVID happened, we had a couple months where we could just close down, figured out the barcoding systems, integrated it to the website. And now our inventory system feels good and I feel comfortable with it. So we weren't really at a point where I ever felt like, I don't.
You never had control.
Yeah, I didn't. So now I feel like we're like, oh, it's working. It's actually a fluid thing. And if somebody orders something, we usually have it. And so now that's why it's kind of come to this point where I'm like, now might be the time to, that was a huge thing for us, was figuring that out.
The other thing I would mention is, I go to Morro Bay quite a lot. My son's there almost every day surfing and I see the van all the time. And I get the little restaurant next door to your shop, which is great. The French bakery.
Frankie and Lola's. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I mean that, your van's great advertising too, but people probably don't know what that really means when they see as high as I am on there. It's kind of
brings a lot of people in because they're like wandering in and they're like, what is this? And then I tell them and then they're like, oh, that's sweet. And then they, typically get something.
But yeah, the inventory.
There's a way to identify what that is. Like it's a shop or it's clothing, just as part of underneath as high as I am, to have some other information on there. Also knew you as a photographer, see you out there, taking pictures and stuff like that at different areas occasionally over the.
Yeah, I think he does well in his store, and he had mentioned the inventory was a key piece because I know other small businesses where they had the same problem because they would, at the end of the day, they would have to process online orders and they didn't have the inventory anymore because they sold it that day. So it was a nightmare for them to handle. So he had mentioned that he finally has the inventory, but that does still need to tie into your Shopify system so that
it does.
Oh, well, there you go. All right,
yeah, we figured all that out. It was like
all right.
My wife's smart. She's like, she like noodled out on everything and got it all working to where
Excellent.
I was just like, I didn't know, I'm just kind of following her lead on it. And like I said, it's been a year, we've had everything
Now
kind of
you are
dialed
ready.
and working. And I feel confident that, say we had to sell $1 million worth of stuff, we could probably do it and be confident with what we have.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have when you sell everything you have, but then it's not so good when you have a lot of stuff you can't, now you need to sell it. It's the brewery's classic problem too, a microbrewery where
Right.
if you brew enough beer, even the wineries, right, and you sell what you brew or what you make, you're in good shape. It's when you start making more than you're selling that all of a sudden now it starts to become expensive. Because
Right.
you're basically trying to sell what you've got as opposed to you've already sold what you've made, so it's really good profit margin.
Yeah.
Well, we are at 6:30 and this was an experiment, but I think it went really well. And I think it's cool to give Mike some neat ideas. And the best part is because it was recorded, he can go back and listen to it because he's not going to capture. He wasn't taking any notes.
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know it was going to be like this. I thought I was going to listen to somebody else talking about something else, not as I was have everything. So.
We're trying something new, but I really appreciate all you guys and Josh and Mary. This was extremely generous of you guys. To
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
And so thank you, everyone. Any parting words, Tom or Bob, as our president? And the guy who kind of came up with this concept, I just came up with the tag word of 3 marketing experts walk into a bar.
Well, I think the whole idea was really to have Softtech serve as, connections within the community. So, the ability to reach out to our audience with Josh and Mary and what their capabilities in the community are is kind of what Softtech's all about. So I appreciate everybody's time. And we are, in that process of trying to, rebuild from the pandemic world to, a new process and trying to integrate the hybrid format so that people with COVID like me can still attend. And hopefully I didn't transmit any viruses over the network. So
I wanted to say that Josh and Mary did brilliantly, and with a little bit of prep and a lot of dancing with Mike, it was nice. Not only it was nice to witness.
No, thanks. I want to know who won the $100.
They're not on the call today, but we only got, I think, 2 people that actually responded and read the email detail enough to probably know that there really was $100. So I will send both of those to Bob, and I think one of them it clearly won. I don't have her name in front of me, but it was 2 women who responded to that email, and it's going to be one of the 2 of them.
I didn't read far enough, so
Well,
I'm
what's
yeah.
the punchline?
Now you know.
What's the punchline?
The challenge was 3 marketers walk into a bar, and whoever comes with the best punchline wins $100.
Oh, I thought that was the joke. Like they're always marketers are always in bars drinking or something. Okay. Okay.
I always like the rabbi. He's walking to the bartender says, "What is this? Some kind of joke?"
Yeah.
I'll tell you here in
3
just a
Irishmen
second.
left the bar. No, really, they left.
Oh, hang on. I'll tell
I
you.
would say too, you just said at the very end that they see the band, they see the name, and then when you tell them what it means, they're excited.
Yeah.
So want to be able to somehow market that so that when they see it, it's automatic pilot, if they start recognizing that. Market that explanation, which would be different for Jimmy Chin than it would be for, for a guy that's shooting mountaintops. versus
An
surfing.
astronaut.
An astronaut. We have an astronaut.
I was wondering.
And we had a guy that came to the shop that's an astronaut, and he took some stickers and he said, this was a few years ago, and he said, in a few years, I might be going. And he's all, the only way I can get, because I was like, the best thing would be to get it in space,
That'd be so cool.
He said he could put it on his laptop, and he said if he said he's gonna do it, I follow him on Instagram. I'm not sure his name, but I'm like, oh, get it up there.
It wasn't the guy from Cal Poly that actually went out.
I don't think so. Yeah, but he's he's like, I'll do it if I end up being up there, and
Fun.
so we might see it. We did get a guy put it on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, on a beam. His wife works for the bridge, and he's a base jumper, and they actually got married and stuff up there. But Like he put a sticker up there and took a picture and sent it to me. He's like, don't tell anybody I did.
Don't post this
But
on
yeah, he said
Facebook.
6 months I couldn't even post it. And then
Yeah.
he's all just, if you post it, just don't put my name or anything. But so that's like the coolest thing I think
Yeah,
that's happened. So
All right, so I found the email, and this is definitely the winner. Ann Ramberg, you will get the $100. Three marketing experts walk into a bar. If one has opted out of all tracking cookies, the other uses the web in incognito mode, and the third uses private email, which of the experts would know about the bar's 2-for-1 drink deal?
wow.
So congratulations, Ann. We'll figure that out after the meeting. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. We will see you at the next one, and keep your eyes peeled for the
Thank you,
next
guys.
Tech Reads podcast. That's coming up soon. And thanks again. You guys have a great night.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, yeah, no, I appreciate you guys.
Kayak out there, right?